Who killed Scott Summers, and why is Cyclops now unable to return to the public eye? Well, let's hop into the pages of X-Men issue number 7 and find out together, shall we? Alrighty then, so once again we have another issue that jumps around in time for dramatic effect. As we join things, we're at the lair of Dr. Stasis in the most evil part, underground New Jersey. Man, the Garden State sure does take a licking, doesn't it? I imagine everyone from New Jersey is a lot like Canadians when getting made fun of. We're just good sports about it. Stasis has gathered together his army of chimeras, not to be confused with chimera mutants, and just because they're half man, half animal doesn't mean they should also be confused with the High Evolutionaries' new men. These are somehow completely different and yet very familiar. The chimeras get supercharged and sent to rampage across the streets of New York, while Stasis himself waits in the wings for the X-Men and their leader to come out. From there, we jump in time again to Scott following his resurrection. He doesn't know what's going on, and Emma Frost is playing coy about how he actually met his end and what that means now. All Scott knows for sure, though, is that he died very publicly, and that's going to be a big problem for everyone moving forward. But how did he die? Well, we flash back to the battle itself, where we see Cyclops actually led his team into battle, down a number of members who were off doing other business on KRAKOA. I mean, these are chimeras, though. They're not all that tough to defeat. Cyclops actually does some pretty cool moves, too, bouncing his concussive blast off a traffic light. Sync has also been rising to the occasion, too, recently. He's only gotten more powerful ever since his time in the vault, and we're treated to a very awesome little scene where him and Cyclops fight back to back, doing dueling concussive blasts. If it seems like things are too easy, it's because they definitely are. Dr. Stasis not only set his creations loose, but he also laced their blood with a compound that causes it to explode, meaning that the X-Men are essentially dealing with a group of full-on suicide bombers in the streets of New York. Luckily, Sunfire is there to try and help contain some of the blasts. By choking the fire, it's here too Sync really shows that he may be on his way to becoming a brand new Omega-level mutant, as he summons up the power of Jean Grey to help protect people as well, meaning that he doesn't even need to be near another mutant to copy their power anymore. Feeling that the fight is quickly being lost, Dr. Stasis sends out his own personal right-hand man, well, right-hand beast, however you want to think about it. Tony the Tiger here ends up grabbing a baby, forcing Cyclops to get involved. He saves the kid's life, but unfortunately gets all sorts of slashed up in the jugular. It's here with Scott bleeding out that Dr. Stasis finally chooses to make contact with the mutants. He actually goes as far as to tell Scott where he can find him, just so he can see if he'll remember it when he's resurrected next time. He then finishes bleeding him out before going back into the crowd unseen, dressed as an EMT. So yeah, Cyclops died, which normally wouldn't be a problem because the mutants have essentially defeated death on the island of KRAKOA. The only problem is that Scott died such a high-profile public death in front of everyone that the mutants are going to have to keep Scott dead for the foreseeable future. Better let him die a hero than to have any more problems like Ben Urich sniffing around the resurrection protocols. Which, hey, speaking of, Scott assumed that it was Jean that wiped Urich's mind so he would kill the story, but now he's almost certain that it was actually Emma who did it in her role as a member of the Quiet Council. And oh, isn't it ironic, don't you think, that the Quiet Council were the ones pushing the hardest for Captain Krakoa to join Cyclops' brand new X-Men team, but now that he's turned them down multiple times, the only way he can actually get back in the field now, Scott, and lead his team is if he takes up the Captain Krakoa mantle. Geez, it's almost like the Quiet Council got exactly what they wanted. Could this mean that Scott's X-Men team and the Quiet Council will be headed for a collision sooner rather than later? Probably, as the comic comes to a close. And so that was X-Men issue number 7, everybody, and once again, I gotta say, I really think Jerry Duggan and this book have found their footing. I really dig all this extra focus on Cyclops, showing him as a good guy and a good leader with a good heart who is now continually getting screwed over by the higher-ups of mutant society. Cyclops just wanted to get back to basics, being a hero in New York City, but clearly they're not going to let him go that easily, and if that means that Scott is going to have to fight for the rights for the X-Men to be who they have always been, I think that's going to lead to some really interesting story potential. This issue is also making me greatly rethink who Dr. Stasis could possibly be, seeing as his grand master plan literally played right into the hands of Emma Frost and the Council. Is he really an enemy of mutant kind, or is he something much stranger? Overall, I'd give this one a very positive 8 out of 10, and I'm glad I stuck with the book when I did. I very nearly almost dropped it there for a minute, but now I'm glad that I get to see this story to fruition. Hey there everyone, Kate Joel again, and I just want to thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. It means a lot to me. And hey, if you enjoyed the book I covered in this issue and want some comics of your own, might I recommend Book Depository? It's my #1 place for shopping for comic book trades. You get a great price, and if you use my link down in the description, you'll actually be helping me out at the same time. You get something, I get something, everybody wins, right? So until next time everyone, I've been Joel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.